money, like increase costs, increase costs, increase costs, but it was just like, presented from a different angle. And I get it. And it kind of started when the season started. Everyone was just like, oh no, Grid Life is trying to get too big. I bet they're going to jack the prices up. And then when, they announced a schedule, and then, it was basically right before tickets went on sale is when we saw what the, prices were going to be. And everybody like immediately was just like, oh crap, like here we go. Like,
Green flag, green flag.
Welcome to the Blind Apex Podcast, where amateur club racers tune in to get faster.
This episode is brought to you by Deechworks Fuel Systems. Use Apex 10 at deechworks.com to get 10% off your order. On this episode, we're going to talk about the motorsports lifestyle, maybe even a life cycle around motorsports. It might get spicy. If we use your name, we're probably going to use ourselves as an example too. We're just examples, right? And as my wife says, it's a time to learn about what we can control and not worry about what we can't control. And yes, I still learn this lesson all the time. Joining me, returning guest. He's truly one of those internet friends because we Facebook message each other over these crazy posts we find, and we want to know each other's insights, opinions, and all the craziness going around. You can find him on Discord during the Heat Exchanger podcast, usually. In the garage with his collection of Integras, or most recently posting about all of his cat pictures as a proud cat dad. He's still the reigning 2024 Club TR champion, Evan Mclaren. Welcome back to the podcast.
thanks, dude. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, man. Yeah, before we hit record, I heard the update on your cats, but what else have you been up to this year?
Oh man. I mean, back running with Grid Life again, trying to make a run at a mostly full season, doing 5 events this year again, just like I did last year. Um, Going all right. I mean, I can't really complain about results. I had a decent showing at the first one, and then Road Atlanta was just kind of a bomb, and then did pretty decent in Mid Ohio recently, so I was pretty hyped on that. And now I'm just trying to maintain the car and get it back into shape to head to Lime Rock here soon. So
Okay. So still having fun in Club TR. Have you messed with that other Integra of yours too much this year?
uh sadly it's just kind of been a shelf for a bunch of junk and parts storage and temporary cat nursery. So it hasn't really the that whole project is probably not going to start rolling until maybe this winter, or kind of as soon as I get to it. I just got to get through this season first, and before I can even think about allocating funds in that direction.
Right. So I think that that'll be a good thing to talk about later, maybe, because this motorsports lifestyle is demanding in lots of areas, right? So,
Oh yeah.
so we're recording. I don't know. This will go out in a couple weeks, right? So maybe 10, 14 days. DJ and Tom talked about that post. It's been talked about by Abe and Edo, and it's been talked about, right? So can you give me the background on this post and maybe name names if you want to out them on? They already outed themselves, but
We talking about the Grid Life drama post like immediately following Mid Ohio recently, I guess.
yep.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's hard to put my opinions and feelings kind of all in like a clear and concise way, because I go back and forth with struggling with a lot of the things that, the concerns and stuff that people were raising in that post about cost increases and feeling like, maybe the costs have increased, but I guess the some of the perks and stuff like that that Grid Life is offering haven't really increased proportionally with the cost and whatever. Like, obviously cost increasing hurts a lot of us. There's people out there that obviously have like unlimited funds to do this, or whatever. Like, it's way easier for them than it is for somebody like me that does this on a like extremely tight budget, or even lack thereof most of the time. So,
Right.
it definitely, even if it's only like a 10% increase in cost, it hurts. And then some of the events actually went up, maybe like 20, 30% or whatever. But at the same time, it's easy to lose perspective on kind of the the overall product that Grid Life is delivering, what I mean, as far as the events overall, the live streams, like everything. We get a lot for our money, but a lot of people complain about like lack of seat time and stuff like that. I mean, there's a million different angles to look at it from. Um, some days I kind of feel it. I'm like, oh man, this sucks. Like, got to spend all this money and it keeps getting more expensive. Then other days I'm like, man, these events are like the best ever, and I don't really like, you know, I can't uh I can't complain about the experience, and um, the exposure and things that have helped me garner partnerships and stuff like that from companies that, kind of allows that for me to even do this too. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of give and take with it. So I guess I don't
Yeah,
really
and
want to like bash on anybody about, a lot of people had really strong opinions, and that post got way out of control. It was like 300 some comments long, and some people just got carried away, like, bashing the organization, or the CEO, and like all this stuff. And a lot of people want to blame the new CEO for a lot of the changes that were happening. And at the end of the day, it is a business, and they do have to kind of be able to sustain themselves to survive. So I'm not gonna like act like they need to show us, their P&L reports and their book levels to for us to like justify their spending. You know what I mean? It's like you either enjoy the events and you like the product they're put out, and like, or you don't, kind of like
yeah,
Houghton says, like, love it or F off.
right, right. But so this is a vicious cycle that happens with every organization. It's
Yep.
happening. The cost is going up for everyone. So look at SCCA, might be the cheapest group to race with right now outside of like their majors events, right? But their
Hmm.
their business model is not for profit. Okay. So and Grid Life used to have more of a not for profit outlook, or so it seemed. But the production value from Grid Life versus maybe not the SCCA majors, they did a good job at the last one at Summit Point. But in general, they've been playing catch up. The SCCA has been playing catch up with Grid Life. But even NASA's prices are going up, right? All those
Yeah,
prices are going up.
everyone across the board, like track prices. It's like this, post-COVID, trend of, cost trending. It's just nobody's immune to it. So I don't understand how people think Grid Life can just maintain the same prices and costs for the drivers when they're hiring on full-time like staff that they need to operate. And like I said, I'm not gonna try and, dissect their, you know, P&Ls and act like they're making, buku profits off of every single event, because from what I understand is that we're kind of just barely scraping by. And um I think even Jaime kind of made a point, like, if it was profitable and a money grab, like, other organizations kind of would be doing the same thing to the same level. You know what I mean? It's just, I feel like they're like, Grid Life is pushing hard to like deliver a product at, the like scraping by with the least amount of profit they can still get to sustain their existence. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know their book levels and stuff like that. It's just what I see that the show that they put on is like, so crazy. And, the stream is super expensive for them to even, like have and operate and stuff like that. Like other organizations, like NASA does a stream like what, once a year, twice a year, like
Right.
Hyperfest and like nationals. And then what does
Basically,
SCCA do? Like one,
they do the
like it's,
well. They've started doing the majors. I think they're all going to do the majors, but the price doubled.
yeah,
So the entry fee doubled so they could cover it
yep.
and have publicity. And they did a good job, right? But it was
And
expensive
not,
and there was some
yeah,
heartburn.
not to talk crap, but like their production value is like doesn't even touch what Grid Life is putting into theirs now. It's like and it just continues to get better. Like it's becoming like really polished, and all the back end stuff that, Kyle is putting into it, it's, it like rivals like IMSA broadcasts. You know what I mean? It's pretty crazy, but I
Well,
don't know.
absolutely.
I mean, I don't
And
need to like stroke their life ego, but I sympathize on both sides, I guess.
so my concern was when I saw that post, this something similar, a large at that time social media. It was on the forums, not MySpace, but because Facebook I don't think really was around. But say 15, 18 years ago, Honda Challenge was hot, right?
Hmm.
It was pulling in my region alone 40 to 60 cars. We had our own race group,
Shoot.
right? And then spec tires came around, and it was a little bit of the '08 bubbly kind of thing. It was spec tires and NASA looking to get that, at least on the national level, the money flow that they needed to sustain themselves in their business model. And Scott Giles I vividly remember a post of his on Honda Tech, and it was venomous, right? And I was
Yeah.
just like, holy smokes. And at the time I was working for NASA Mid Atlantic in the tech shed, wanting to race Honda Challenge. And Honda Challenge was obviously Honda centric. Honda Tech is a Honda centric forum. And we were all in road race autocross, or we were that section, and it got so bad. I can't even find the post anymore because it was all getting edited, deleted, administratively, like all the stuff. It was so bad that they started roadraceautocross.com so they could
Jeez.
not be governed or controlled by other people and to continue being upset. So I watched the fields go from 60 to like 16. And it hurt,
Wow.
right? Instead of having our own run group, they were now sharing the racetrack with Spec Miata and 944 and all those guys, right?
Yeah.
Great classes in their own right. But when you had a class that was so strong, it commanded its own group for the weekend, like that's what you want, it harkens to, GLTC, GLGT, like they have their own run group. They're not
Yeah.
sharing the track. It's one class, right? So, and I know there's passionate people like you, and there's tons and tons of other people passionate about grid life. And I don't want to see things devolve. Now, I think they're doing a really good job, and it helps. They have a good media presence, which it's never been NASA's strong suit. Certainly isn't the SCCA's strong suit. As far as I'm concerned, it's an opinion, whatever. I mean, you can tell me I'm wrong, but whatever.
That's
Uh,
fact.
but I don't want to see history repeat itself with another organization. And so, you and I hit each other up, and we bantered back and forth, and really it seems like most of the things they were talking about was money related. Okay. It was either the price overall, the price per session on track, or time for the money spent, the traveling that had to go on, the extra days off of work, which I equate to money. Whether you
Yep.
take it off paid or unpaid, it all, the travel in general, like all of this stuff, it really boils down to funds, right? And we all have different levels of funds, but I, yeah, I, I think that's the crux of it. And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember all, to be honest, I don't remember all the stuff that Jamie wrote. It was like, I don't know, 1,000-word white paper went up on Facebook, and I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, it was a little excessive, but yeah, I
Um,
mean that was basically what it distilled it down to, was just money, like increased costs, increased costs, increased costs. But it was just like, presented from a different angle, and I get it. And it kind of started when the season started. Everyone was just like, oh no, Grid Life is trying to get too big. I bet they're going to jack the prices up. And then when, they announced a schedule, and then, it was basically right before tickets went on sale is when we saw what the, prices were going to be. And everybody like immediately was just like, oh crap, like here we go. Like tickets are way more expensive now. And that's kind of when like everybody started, crying and complaining. And then it all just kind of like, slowly came to a head midway through the season. So, but yeah, it's all cost related.
so listening to Lizard Brain's podcast this morning on my, hour and a half commute to work, they feel like it's been talked about for the last 3 to 5 years in the paddock, and it finally started to bubble to the top, and somebody finally took everyone's complaints and put it out there. So
Yeah, it's probably been like, with certain people. I mean, I'm sure there's been, grumblings and, concerns and talk happening for a lot longer than I've been aware, because, I haven't been in, the paddock for all that long, and there's people there who've been there since like the start of it, like 2016 or whenever like Grid Life was officially born. I've only been there for the past like 5 years or whatever, so there's probably a lot that I'm just completely oblivious of. But and I don't have the perspective of seeing it when it was young and fresh and new. I only kind of see how it's been evolving in the past few years, and it's been like a pretty rapid growth even since like 2019, 2020, when I really started like paying attention to becoming involved. So I could see how some people would get, I guess, a little disgruntled if they've kind of been around to the beginning and seen just how things change. And a lot of people just don't like change in general. But I think that Facebook post kind of just opened the tap for people to just complain to complain. But you know there it
yeah,
wasn't without some validity.
once there's a crack in the dam, the water comes out, right? So,
Yep.
I, but not to be Grid Life specific, because like we talked about earlier, everyone's going through this pain. Okay.
Yep.
But my thing is, there's things we can do, and there's things we do, right? As people who live that motorsports lifestyle, and really it's you'll know when you reach it. So are there any examples? I want to do the spin off of the Jeff Foxworthy, you might be a redneck, but more of a, you might be in the motorsports lifestyle. Do you have any examples?
uh you got to eat like ramen for 3 days straight until payday comes, so you can pay for that set of tires or that pair of front tires because you drive a front wheel drive car.
Yeah. And on that same note, you might live the motorsports lifestyle if you've driven to the track with your truck and trailer, but only $300 left in your bank account. It wasn't
Uh,
me, but somebody literally told me they got a flat and it wiped them out.
oh, dude, I've been there. Honestly, it's like it's sad to admit because I think there was some Facebook post a while back where somebody said something like, "Oh, if like they were complaining about the $200 licensing fee from Grid Life," and somebody was like, "Well, if $200 in the grand scheme of things like is make it or break it for you, then like you probably shouldn't be doing this until you get your finances in order." And I was like hit me where it hurts because I was like, man,
Well,
there's some times like throughout the season where like repairs come up or unexpected expenses even just in life outside of competing in motorsports that just hit you and you're like scraping thin and you're like, man, I just got to make it to this next event. And like where can I cut costs in my daily life to just kind of get by until I can get to the event and just get through it and then figure it out afterwards, you know what I mean? It's just, and that's kind of where I've been like, up and down throughout the past like 5 years since I started this. I was just like, felt a little more like financially comfortable 5 years ago, but then it's just like gradually getting to the point where I'm at now. I'm like, I feel like I'm like scraping by like pretty thin sometimes just to get through a season. And I'm like, kind of, it's stressful, but then it's just like, do you love it enough to keep pushing through it? Or, do you take a break for a season or two to like recoup get your stuff together and then come back for another push, it's like you got to kind of just prioritize, I guess.
yeah, and I feel like we've all done things like bought or sold used race tires. I see entries to events for sale all the time.
Yep.
I I I know somebody who has money, and they decided they wanted all their safety equipment to match. Okay. Hey man, some people got it like that, right? But his belts were still good. And another competitor was scraping up to come back after like 2 years off and needed fresh
Hmm.
belts or legal belts, and the guy just gave them to him.
That's cool.
But we are so passionate about our sport. We live and breathe it, right? The people at my job, they know me as like the race car guy because
Yeah, same.
it's all I think about, right? If they're going to catch me looking at something on the internet instead of working, it's probably because I'm trying to find the part for the car that broke, and they
Right.
just ignore it, right? So,
They're like, oh, he can
um,
multitask. He can buy that part online and still get his job done. It's okay.
yeah, oh yeah, it doesn't take long usually. So, um, it's things like that, right? How much of your wardrobe consists of track shirts or shirts from your partners or whatever? Like my whole wardrobe is basically race car stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Acuity has kind of like kept me clothed for the past few years with just like all the t-shirts and hoodies that they've sent me. And I'm like, I look
Right?
around like in my closet and stuff with like everything else. I'm like, oh, I got some like dress shirts and button up stuff like that. I'm like, I hardly ever wear any of that. It's just like t-shirts from like companies or not even just partners, but companies that I like and I support. So it's. Yeah, you see me out in public, and that's just like you can look at me, and if you know that, like what home developments or like ASR is, and like I'm wearing one of those shirts, they're gonna be like, yeah, that guy's like a track rat, but it just
Absolutely.
screams it.
But that's who we are, right? I'll take the cheapest amount of clothing I can get my hands on because I've got a tool to buy. I've got a set of tires to buy. I've
Yep.
got, I pitched an axle. I've got no more, race trans fluid left. And that stuff ain't cheap anymore, right? Like, so
I'm
we
buying
live and
buying
breathe this.
$12 pants at Walmart because I need pants, and I'm just like, I gotta buy tires, man. I can't be spending money on nice pants these days.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Um, and here's the problem. When the conversation turned to we're spending more money, but we're not getting anything more, my brain went to, are you getting less? Because if they haven't noticed, inflation is up all over in all sorts of
Yep.
areas. And that's the problem. We're covering, it's not the problem, it's what's going on. We're covering inflation increases at the racetrack. In addition to Grid Life's trying to expand, SCCA is trying to get hip with the times. NASA has every region is a sanctioning a franchise essentially, right?
Yeah.
So they all get run differently. If things are getting too expensive, yes, you want to run Grid Life, but can you find a track family closer to home? Maybe you and some of your Grid Life friends decide you're going to do half the events with Grid Life, but try to stay closer to home to save travel money or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want less track time and you want to be with your friends. So you have to work with each other and try to figure some stuff out,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of been, my plan going forward is, if I'm not, I wasn't even planning on running a full season with Grid Life this year, but it just happened to be possible. But next year I'm gonna take a light season, save money and recoup finances, get things in order, stay more local, probably do some like DE with NASA and SCCA track night, stuff like that, just trying to save costs. And if that's what people got to do, that's what people got to do. If I can make a Grid Life event or two, just to kind of, still dip my toes in it, stay connected with, the people out there that I love, then like, I'll do that as much as I can. But yeah, I gotta cut back, and it just happens. People can push hard for a few years and spend all the money, and then sometimes you gotta reel it back in to keep it sustainable for yourself.
So I'm going to beat this horse to death on this podcast. I probably need a drum with it on there, but people really need a race program in detail. As soon as you start complaining about money, you
Yep.
really have to get in on a program. Like, and I'm not talking some Dave Ramsey stuff, right? Like, I'm talking write out your budget, know your costs, know your consumable rate, right? Like, how fast do you actually go through tires? For you guys travel a lot, right? So,
Yeah,
and you
that's a
don't
killer.
repeat tracks. We repeat tracks. I can tell you that if I start a set at VIR, I will kill the set at Summit Point. If I start the set at Summit Point, I'll likely get all the way through VIR, but somehow still have extra. It's like when they take the first heat cycle hard, they last a little longer, right? Like, I
Hmm.
learn these things. I know how long my brake pads last. And I know how much, well, I don't know anymore. This K24 is thirsty, but
Yeah, she is.
super thirsty. But
I know all about that. You're not even on ethanol, right? So
nope. No, not on
yeah.
ethanol. It's not legal. I couldn't imagine what you guys go through on ethanol. It is ridiculous how few laps I got on a full tank of gas. So,
Yeah, it's brutal.
but you got to know your costs, right? You have to know the special tracks that cost a little more, eat a little more tire. Pit race, notoriously hard on tires. CMP, I don't know if it's still hard on tires, but it definitely used to be, right?
It wasn't great at all. No, it was pretty rough. For such a low grip surface, it was surprising how much it chewed the rubber.
Yeah. And then don't go. Here's a tip for me, okay? And a recommendation from me, which I'm sure everybody wants to hear you and not me, but I'm so over this stuff. Like, don't go broke chasing Instagram clout with like buying this and buying that and like blinging the car out when you need more seat time, right? And I
Oh yeah,
think,
jeez.
but I'm guilty of that, right? Why did I put a K24 in my car? Because I could, right?
Because you wanted
Did
to
I
go
need
fast.
to?
That's
No.
why.
Well, yeah, okay, but in the rules, in theory, in my class, it's balance of power, right? I'm guilty
Yeah.
of it, but I'm not going broke over it. What I am going broke over is figuring out what the heck went wrong. But like, I think there's actually a clout game to chase with racers who save money and how to save money as a racer. So
It's
if you
honestly
want to,
harder, if you want to be really like frugal, it's harder to not spend money than it is to just like, piss it away if you got it like that. So I do have a lot of respect for, I mean, maybe it's just, because that's kind of the boat that I'm in, that I have to, get by with spending as little as possible. But I have a lot of admiration for people that, go that route and do a lot with a little.
I mean,
But with that being said, I'm the worst person to um talk about, like budgeting and being structured, because I literally just fly by the seat of my pants 99% of the time and just try and like figure it out as I go. I'm like, I start the season and I'm like, all right, I kind of need this much. And then I'm like, all right, I can do this. And then halfway through the season, I'm like double the spending that I was hoping. And I don't even know where it all went. It's just, I don't have spreadsheets. I don't use
I'm gonna send you some.
it, I won't use them, so don't even bother because I'm terrible.
But okay, one thing, you cooked yourself dinner tonight, right?
Oh yeah, and I bought what was on sale too. So
Yeah. So okay, so we cook at home all the time at my house. Okay.
yeah,
Hot tip: I'm fat, and and we eat between $3 and $5 per person per meal. Like, easy.
yeah, that's what we just did tonight. Bought like literally a $6 pack of freaking pork chops and threw them on the grill and cooked up some veggies, and that was about it. And we do
Yeah.
go out to eat. I mean, that's kind of like the bane of our existence sometimes. It's just like going out with friends, going to dinner, like, doing stuff like that, like, maybe once a week or whatever. We try and keep it to a minimum, but even at times where I'm like, man, I need some cash to get to this event. And I'm like, but we want to go out and get some Mexican food or, go out with friends or do whatever. And then I'm like, damn it, I really shouldn't have spent that money.
Yeah. I mean, the guys I race with, some of them are really good at going out for brunch like every Saturday and burning down mimosas and all that jazz.
Yeah.
I can't do that, man. I just can't. And then
Spent $100 easy, like real fast.
they post receipts of them going. I don't know why they love Taco Bell, but they love Taco Bell. When did Taco Bell become $15 to eat?
Dude, Taco Bell used to be where you could go and get like fed for like $5. Now it's like you can't get it through that drive-through without spending $15. And it's like any fast food joint, really, because I end up going to Wendy's every once in a while and it's the same thing. And it's just like, why am I spending this much money for this garbage food?
Yeah. So I actually just came up with an idea for another podcast. I'm going to need somebody, maybe like Scott Robertson, to come on because he loves to call me a try hard, because I do try hard. I'm like, oh, that's the shiny new bit. Got to buy it. It'll make me faster,
Yeah.
right? Instead of just applying myself. So maybe like a try hard versus apply hard because I really think if this kind of sucks for all of our partners who sell parts, but if we spent less money on parts and worked more on ourselves, we might actually get where we needed to be for less money. But I don't know.
That's very, very true.
I'm guilty of it. And considering all I've been
But
doing is using the crap out of my sim racer this year, I need to get better with
well,
that.
I was gonna say though, how do you do that? How do you accomplish that without also spending more money, right? Like you either get more seat time through DE or test days or whatever, which is also more costly, or you spend some money up front on a sim rig, which if you're starting from scratch, I mean that can be, a hefty investment from, just the PC to, the rig, all the hardware, monitor, everything. You know what I mean? It can be a pretty decent chunk up front, but then once you have it, it's the best investment you can, make for yourself as a driver. And then it's just
So,
free seat time, except for the iRacing subscription, but whatever.
yeah, okay. So let's talk about that because I have lots of expensive hobbies and they sort of rotate in and out of my life, and the only constant is racing, okay?
Yeah.
But you can absolutely save money if you're going to buy stuff, but you're patient with it.
Yes.
I burn dollars on Black Friday because stuff goes crazy. Specifically,
Hmm.
the iRacing discount on Black Friday or that time of year. It's usually all of November.
Yeah,
I,
Cyber Week or whatever.
yeah, is the only time you should be buying. If you buy it any other time, you're in the wrong. And I built my rig for the price of a set of brand new tires, maybe a little bit more. Now,
That's decent.
I shopped Facebook Marketplace. I did have to wait on things, and it was that year's project, right? I knew I was going
Hmm.
to do it. I knew the cheapest time to get iRacing was on Black Friday. I knew the computers go on sale on Black Friday. I knew I'd find deals on monitors on Black Friday. Anything that came my way. So all I did was shop used Facebook Marketplace. I bought my my Alpha Mini steering wheel setup from one of the Sunday Cup drivers. So,
Nice.
vet your people, look at their profile so that you're not getting scammed. If they
Yeah,
actually put their cars on track, they're probably decent. I mean, some of us are scumbags, but generally.
I rolled the dice on my Fanatec setup from some complete stranger. He's I definitely like scoured his profile to see if he was like a real human being, but he was like some like old retired guy who was like he bought it and was like said it felt too much like a toy and then upgraded to like, full fancy baller, direct drive setup. And then I got kind of like the older like CSL like belt driven wheelbase for a decent deal at the time. But then it was like, I don't know, 6 months later, all the direct drive prices started to drop, and I could have just waited a little bit and gotten a better setup for basically what I paid for, an older belt-driven wheelbase and some kind of crappy pedals.
I mean, I have multiple podcasts on sim racing and stuff like that, but I'll tell you the best decision I ever made was triple 27s. One, they're cheap. Two, you only need 1080p. You only need to run your stuff at 1080p. Anything more is just taxing your computer.
Yeah.
And it's fine. There's enough detail where you can find markers, you can see things, it's good.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a good FOV is better than having good resolution, honestly. So,
Right. And so triple 27s, 1080p, and then you don't have to put $12 or $1,400 into your seat or your computer, you know?
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah, I
I,
got lucky and I got a homie hook up on my computer. Like a friend of mine was just trying to upgrade, so he cut me a deal on the computer. It's just, I got marketplace deal on my monitor, like everything I tried to do with, pinching pennies. And now I'm just trying to upgrade incrementally as I go to just get, some nicer pedals and nicer wheelbase. But it's at least like, I got into what I have now for extremely cheap compared to what some people just, spent. Like my friend Mario, dude, he balled out this past year. I mean, he got some Black Friday deals, but he just went in like all in one shot, And I was like, damn, go ahead, dude. But yeah, he's been, grinding out on that with, a few of us. We get on weeknights and just kind of mob around whatever track, like if we're going to an event and we're all gonna practice at a track, we'll grind out on an evening and just crash into each other and stuff and have fun. But I've seen the investment pay dividends in like everybody's driving that, I'm friends with. So it's been pretty cool.
so th- I love doing that too. We did it before going to Rockingham, which I didn't get to drive, but I participated in all the Rockingham Roval iRacing prep stuff. And it was a private track day, not a big sanctioning body, right?
Uh,
It was cheap. Okay. I I think it was $400. Got us 2.5 days essentially.
dang.
Yeah. So there's deals to be had. Um, if you need real seat time, if you need to shake down your car, if your job is flexible with letting you take time off and you got the itch to scratch, but you don't want to lay a whole bunch of money, motorsportsregistration.com. I'm about to check my email
Hmm.
because they send me emails all the time. There's always last minute, 48 hour, 24-hour sales on events that need to hit a certain number to like break even or whatever. And
Oh yeah, yeah.
the deals are amazing, even for single track days, $200 for a single track day, which for me on the East Coast, we're no Jaime, getting those $100 track days. So
That's expensive for those guys out there, right?
yeah, I thought they like went and dropped off, Chick-fil-A to the guy at the gate and they got in to go on track. Like, I
Not
don't
only
know.
that, they don't got to drive more than like an hour to get to the track, but
Ugh, yeah, about that. Anyway, you focus on what you can control. I think that's all the best advice I can give you. You want to still be involved with grid life, but you also need to dial it back. That's what you say, right? For next year. That's your initial plan,
absolutely.
right? But you're still going to go to grid life events to, keep in touch with your track family. And then you're going to meet new people, right? You're going to travel less, hopefully spend less on entry fees, but, control what you can control. Save money where you can save it. If you're crazy like me, I don't even pay for parking at work. Everyone pays $10 a day for parking at work. I park a mile and a half away and ride my bike into the office from a commuter parking lot so I don't have to pay $10.
I
One,
mean, hey,
um,
that's the double benefit of fitness too, right? So there you go.
yeah, I get a little bit heart pumping going on, and I save $10 a day. That's $50 a week. You extrapolate that, that's a couple sets of tires over the course of a year you're burning down just for parking, right? Like,
Yep.
I mean, if you want to be on track, you're going to make sacrifices and you're going to make sacrifices, you know, to do what you love. So if you really love it, complain less about the money and try to figure out more about how to be stingy and miserly and pinch pennies. But so,
Yeah, I think my plan next year is to instead of buying, like our gold pass, we buy all our event prices, like our event tickets up front, and it's usually like, thousands of dollars we have to drop. which is nice because then that expense is out of the way, and then all you have to worry about is just getting to the events for the rest of the season. But leading up to every event, 2 weeks before, there's always people trying to like fire sale their tickets off because they can't make it,
Hmm.
and you can come up on some like pretty good ticket prices. And yeah, I think next season I'm just going to look out for, a couple events that I want to do with Grid Light specifically and keep my eye out for those fire sales and just snag those when they come up. Might save a few $100 or whatever here and there. And then just try and stay local and, do some DE stuff to try and stay behind the wheel and stay sharp and not go hard for competition. And then if I can, pay off some credit card debt that I've racked up for myself, which is another big no-no. Don't don't do that. If you want this to be sustainable, don't do that. But yeah, pay that down and then, get my finances more in order so I can build this other car and then push towards, some wheel-to-wheel stuff. So it's, I'd like to keep having fun and keep doing what I'm doing, but I got to sacrifice and cut back and then think about, the long term, the future goals for what I want to do. So,
So you bring up a good point. This is where I'm going to sound like Dave Ramsey. Interest is bad. It's terrible for you. It
oh
robs your
God, so bad.
spending power over time. So the
Yes.
idea is not to do it. But how many people do you think are buying Gold Pass on a Visa and trying to hustle it off throughout the year?
Oh, plenty. I mean, I know, a few personally, and I've seen it, take its toll on like friends where they, front load it on a credit card and then hope they can make the money back through like, sponsorship contingencies and stuff like that to, help pay it back off or whatever. And then you're just setting up like a house of cards for yourself, and it's just so easy for it to all just completely, consume your finances and you just go bankrupt real quick if you're just not careful. Because like you said, that interest is a killer. And
Yeah.
I did the same thing to myself. I was like, all right, cool. I'll just, put this gold pass on the credit card and then, I'll pay it off, over time. And then next season comes around, maybe I'll put the next one on there. But then it's like, oh, okay, I didn't completely pay it off. It gained interest. And then you keep making minimum payments on it, and then you're trying to get through the whole season while you're making minimum payments on it, and the principal doesn't decrease. And then you come in the next season, and you're like, oh, let me put another gold pass on the credit card, and then it's just a compounding effect until you're, 4 years later, and you're like, okay, I got to do something about this before I can, continue to bury myself in a hole, So don't do it,
Yeah.
kids.
I mean, I know people that have, and I know people who've bounced back, but predominantly, I would say it's an unsustainable path with racing because what happens
No, yeah,
when you're 2.5 seasons in of Gold Pass and now you've shredded a gearbox and
yup.
that sucks up your extra payment. Let's say that you're paying it down, sucks up your extra payment for a couple months, right? Trying to bounce back from
Mhm.
that. And then, God forbid, you pop a motor and you got to come back again, And I hate to say this because I have really great partners, but some partnerships have a lot of requirements. They have attendance requirements and things like that. And so be wary that
Yeah,
you don't
absolutely.
have to be there and don't put yourself in a bigger hole. You might get 5,000 in parts now. You arm that over a couple of years and the amount of money you stretched, and God forbid you do it on credit. You stretch some more. It's not actually worth it. So just be
No, it's
careful.
not because that $5,000 can turn into $10,000 that you owe like extremely easy, and it just happens. And just unless you like, you can put it on a card, pay it off quick, doesn't hurt you. But we all know how expensive this stuff. Like you said, unexpected costs come up. You get slammed with oh, I got to go to the JDM depot and grab a new long block, and there's $1,000 that I wasn't planning on spending. You
Right.
know.
Oh,
Stuff
and then
happens, and
w-
if it can happen, it probably will.
absolutely, this is racing. That's absolutely going to happen. I,
Knock on
I,
wood. Where's it at?
yeah, I pulled my engine over the winter time, and I was like, oh, uh, luckily, it was the end of the year, but I was like, I need two axles. Both my axles they have one too much slop, but they were basically grenading themselves slowly.
Yeah,
So I was like, huh, okay, let me add that to the expense sheet.
I
So
just popped on at Mid Ohio. There's a parts store one that's been holding on for dear life for probably 2.5 seasons now. So props
Dylan
to
would be
that.
so
But
proud. Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't OEM, but I kept, repacking it and stayed on top of it, and eventually it just finally gave out. And luckily it had an OEM spare, but the OEM spare that I have is like a little bit on the short side, and sometimes it likes to pop out of the diff and oil down the rear tires, and that was not something I wanted to have happen at Mid Ohio, where, there's some high risk right hand corners. So that was a little nerve wracking in the last session of the weekend, but anyway.
So the last hot tip I have for folks, and maybe you can give your input on it, but it's try to set yourself up at work so you can get past these times of inflation. So you want to be able to either have a side hustle or have room for growth at work. So
Hmm.
that when we have terrible economies, you may not be the first one to go, because the more expensive you are, the more likely you're going to get cut. But um, make yourself invaluable and find yourself a company that rewards their employees appropriately and has good business models and things like that. I just think it's important for folks. They don't pigeonhole themselves and then, try to live off of a 2% raise every year. You're
Ugh,
not going to dig
yeah.
yourself out of a hole with 2% raises.
Yeah, that's
So,
where that side hustle comes in. And that's something that I wish I had more of, is just like a lucrative side hustle to kind of subsidize all this, but haven't quite figured out what that is yet. Been doing a little bits here and there, just making a few extra bucks, and it helps put, gas in the truck and tires on the car, but any little bit helps. But
yeah, but
stay in school and get a good job, kids.
well, you don't even have to stay in school. I race with union guys, like
Dude,
electricians
yeah,
and stuff. Yeah, man. I
they
mean,
make pretty good money.
but I think the other thing is, well, we're 52 minutes into recording, so I'm sure the IRS isn't listening right now. But if you LLC your side hustle, it and you really work your side hustle like a business, it can start to pay for and write off some of your track expenses. So try to get savvy on that stuff. I'm not a
Yeah.
financial advisor or an accountant, but I'm just saying.
Accept no responsibility for whatever tax trouble you get yourself into. But
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
absolutely true, because, yeah, a few of my friends have also kind of, gone down that route, and it seems to help a bit.
so
Um, I've just done little like odd jobs and, cash in pocket type of stuff for, doing work for friends, doing stuff like that to just kind of put cash in my pocket to help. So it
yeah.
gets
But
me by. But yeah, I don't know if it's something that I can write off come tax time or anything, but
I mean, you just have to explore how you want to structure it, and get savvy. If you're going to do it, if it's enough to pay for gas and a set of tires, it technically can be taxable. I mean, the amount could, and then therefore you could start writing some things off, and you might have to do some accounting or work a little harder on, um, getting more money to flow through it, just so you can basically
yeah.
use all that side money plus some to cover some things. So not a not financial advice. I'm not an accountant. I farm my accounting out to an accountant. So,
That's smart.
but when they looked at our finances, they were like, "You really need to have a business associated with racing." So, yeah, but
Wink, wink.
wink, wink. So, anyway, any saved alibis there, Evan? You think we beat this horse dead?
Yeah, yeah, I think it's proper dead. Yeah. Yeah, biggest takeaway is just don't rack up debt.
Don't rack up debt because it's not sustainable, and don't put yourself in it. Like, no, if you have a plan and something goes sideways, it's okay to step back, right? Even if it's one
Yep.
event, two events, the rest of the year, whatever it takes, but don't bury yourself, because if you really love this, you'll rarely bounce back from burying yourself in debt. So live the lifestyle, make better ramen than they serve at the restaurant, and you'll profit.
Or at least as good. It's sometimes it's hard to be better because man, some of those ramen places are really good, but it's stuff
Yeah,
like
but
that's not hard to make at home. So
it's still like $15 a bowl.
yeah, it is. And
So
that's oh man, that's my like Achilles heel sometimes. Like especially going to events and like we got everybody together. We're like, man, let's go out and get some good food. And then it's like we go out to a restaurant one night and spend a crap ton of money at a good ramen spot or a good Mexican spot. But it's I don't know. Sometimes you just gotta splurge because it's all about the experience and getting together with the homies, you know.
yeah, we always do carne at the track, so we're always cooking
Oh,
carne and doing our normal shenanigans. So we create our memories without going out and hopefully spending too much more money than we've already spent. So, but really,
yeah.
in my personal life, food is the easiest place to save money, and it's the easiest place for us to burn it down. So, uh, yeah,
It really is. It's the worst thing to spend money on because it's just like it's gone. You know, you're buying the experience, but it's like you could get just as much sustenance, you know, for a tenth of the cost at home. But yeah, it's sometimes it's just for me anyway, it's just nice to go out and eat something good, but then you're like, man, I just spent a tire worth of money at a restaurant one night and now it's gone.
and you're gonna flush it down the toilet the next day.
Yep, absolutely.
So don't flush your money down the toilet. All right,
Just
man.
flush it down with racing, not with good food.
Yeah, that's the better way. No, I think you can still have good food. You just make it at home. It's cheaper. You know.
Yeah. We've been doing a lot of like grilling at the track though. We got from Mario and you know his girlfriend bring like a flat top all the time. So we've been
Mhm.
tag teaming food costs at the track and you know get a few people together and get a big meal going. It's always fun.
Yeah, we share that cost. You know, everybody throws in whatever they feel is appropriate, and then they buy that much carne and chorizo and eggs, and we have
Yeah.
breakfast and all that jazz. So
Yeah, we make the girls make the food for breakfast. We wake up and then like come back in from our first session expecting breakfast to like be sizzling on the flat top and they hold it down. It's pretty good.
we're gonna send our wives to go train with your wives because it doesn't work that way. But anyway, Evan, it's great to talk to you, man. Hopefully people got some insights from this. Just worry about what you can control. So
Absolutely.
thanks again, man.
Thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it. Um, hopefully people, you know, learn a thing or two and don't fall into the same traps that I have.
I haven't, and I'm not saying yet because that would be terrible, but I've made my fair share of mistakes, right? I've definitely overextended myself at times, just not so big, and I've not got bitten by it, but that forced me to plan even more. So I'm deathly afraid of that stuff. So anyway,
Well, Con, you're a smarter man than I am.
no, I wouldn't say that, not out loud anyway, but all
Okay,
right, man, take
fair
it
enough.
easy.